Welcome to Noir Reality, where we explore the dark side of human nature and the mysteries that haunt us. Today, we'll delve into a case involving love, obsession, and tragedy that occurred in Sydney, Australia. This is the story of a successful businesswoman who relocated from one continent to another, and a man who followed her there. They seemed to have a perfect relationship until she decided to end it, but he was not ready to let her go. This case sent shockwaves across both countries where they lived and revealed the dark side of human emotions and how they can lead to tragic consequences.
Our story begins with Cecilia Haddad, a vibrant and ambitious woman from the lively landscapes of Brazil. Cecilia was not just an ordinary woman. She was a beacon of success, intelligence, and warmth that radiated in every aspect of her life. Fluent in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, she was a testament to her intellectual prowess. Her academic journey led her to the prestigious Pontifical Catholic University in Rio de Janeiro, where she pursued engineering. It was here that she met Felipe Lemos, a fellow engineering student who would later become her husband. In 2007, Cecilia and Felipe made a significant decision. They moved to Australia, the land of opportunities and new beginnings. They settled in Perth, Western Australia, where they lived together for nearly a decade. However, due to ongoing marital issues, they decided to separate. Even amidst their personal challenges, Cecilia continued to excel in her professional life. She worked as a mining executive and held a role with the mining giant BHP, a testament to her enduring skills and expertise in the industry. Cecilia was not just defined by her professional success. She was a woman of substance known for her warm-hearted nature and loyalty. Friends described her as intelligent and generous, always ready to lend a helping hand. She loved her Dalmatian, enjoyed fishing, and cherished spending time with friends. Her love for her community was evident in her volunteer work as a fundraiser for Food Bank and as a support worker for the disability service HUP in Sydney. Despite her professional triumphs, Cecilia cherished her personal relationships above all else. She was a woman who loved and was loved in return. Yet, as we will soon uncover, love can sometimes lead us down unexpected paths. Life, in its unpredictable nature, has a way of bringing people together under the most unexpected circumstances. In Cecilia Haddad's life, this person was none other than Mario Santoro. Their paths crossed many years ago in Rio, where they were colleagues. Little did they know that years later, their initial acquaintance would evolve into a personal relationship, one that would leave an indelible mark on their lives. Santoro, a Brazilian national like Cecilia, moved to Sydney in 2016. While little is known about the details of their early relationship, one can imagine that Cecilia and Mario, both immigrants, found solace in their shared culture and experiences, a comforting familiarity in a foreign land. Cecilia perhaps saw in Mario a reflection of her journey. Like her, he had been married before and was now standing on the precipice of a new chapter in his life. However, beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect relationship, tensions were brewing. As the days turned into months, the once blossoming relationship between Cecilia and Santoro began to wilt. The strain of being the sole earner in the relationship was taking a toll on Cecilia. She grew tired of Santoro living off her and covering all expenses, including an all-expenses-paid trip to Sydney for Santoro's parents and daughters from a previous marriage. According to Haddad's friends, Santoro had told Cecilia that he had a high-paying job starting soon, but it seems to never have come to fruition. After a year of dating, Cecilia decided it was time to end their relationship. However, Santoro refused to accept the breakup and initially refused to move out of her apartment. His initial refusal marked the beginning of a dark phase in Cecilia's life. Santoro's obsession with Cecilia took a dangerous turn. He began to stalk and harass her, leading to an incident where he forced himself into her apartment. Fearing for her safety, Cecilia barricaded herself in her bedroom while Santoro pounded on the door. Haunted by fear and paranoia, Cecilia started staying at a friend's place. She even took a trip to Perth, hoping the distance would keep her safe. Later, it was discovered that Santoro had secretly cut keys to her apartment and would visit when she was not there. It's reported that she often arrived home and noticed his hair and lingering body odor. Cecilia was terrified and often resorted to showering in the dark out of fear that Santoro would notice she was home. Her friends pleaded with her to call the police, but Cecilia did not want to cause any trouble for Santoro that would lead to his deportation from Australia. All she wanted was for him to leave her alone. Little did she know that this indecision would lead to her own demise. The next day, on April 29th, a gruesome scene unfolded on the Lane Cove River in Sydney. A woman's body was found floating face down in the water by a couple who were kayaking. She was fully clothed and had weights in her pockets, suggesting that someone had tried to sink her body in the river. Upon arriving at the scene, the body was confirmed as none other than Cecilia Haddad, and her cause of death was later determined to be strangulation. Given the missing persons report and what was found on the scene, this case was immediately classified as a homicide. The death of Cecilia Haddad sent shockwaves throughout the community, and as the police began their investigation, all signs pointed towards one prime suspect, Mario Santoro. Cell phone tracking placed Santoro at Haddad's apartment and by the river where her body was later found. Sand and vegetation from that same area were also found in the victim's car. CCTV footage showed Santoro driving near the river, suggesting he might have been looking for a location to dispose of the body. The police were able to correlate this footage with earlier cell phone pings and identified Cecilia's red Fiat in the video. This car was later found at the West Ryde train station. Based on the evidence, it is estimated that Santoro disposed of Cecilia's body around 7 p.m. on April 28th, approximately 9 hours after her death. After disposing of Cecilia's body, Santoro returned home approximately 20 minutes later. CCTV cameras outside his residence captured him entering his home, leaving wet footprints behind. The same cameras recorded him taking clothes to an outdoor washing machine. In the aftermath of the murder, Santoro unlocked Cecilia's phone using her fingerprint. He then sent misleading messages to her friends and family, falsely stating that she was heading to the Blue Mountains and had left her car at a local train station. These actions were presumably intended to delay the discovery of her murder and buy him some time. The next morning, Santoro took an Uber to the airport. He was catching a flight to Brazil. On the way to the airport, he threw her car keys out the window, a fact recounted by the Uber driver when interviewed by the police. Miraculously, the keys were later recovered by the police. Santoro was living under the false pretense of safety. He had fled Australia, leaving behind a trail of devastation. However, little did he know that the wheels of justice were turning. Although all the evidence was pointing towards Mario Santoro as the suspect, there was a problem. Brazil does not allow extradition of its citizens to Australia. However, working with Australian authorities, Brazilian law enforcement launched a manhunt for Santoro. In July 2018, just a few months after Cecilia's murder, Santoro was arrested in Botafogo, a neighborhood in the south zone of Rio de Janeiro. He had been hiding at a relative's house. Santoro was charged with femicide for allegedly choking Haddad to death. The news of his arrest brought a glimmer of hope to Cecilia's friends and family. It was a small step towards justice, but the journey was far from over. 5 years after the tragic events that took Cecilia Haddad's life, the man at the center of it all, Mario Santoro, finally confessed. Santoro confessed to entering Cecilia's apartment without her permission. He claimed he simply could not accept the fact that she was distancing herself from him, and in a chilling admission, he admitted they had an argument, and in a fit of rage, he wanted to shut her up. So he grabbed her neck and pressed very strongly until she fell limp into his arms. He then broke down in tears in the courtroom. In June 2023, Santoro was sentenced to 27 years in prison by a federal court in Rio de Janeiro after he confessed to the murder of Haddad. He was convicted of aggravated homicide, femicide, and concealment of a corpse. He cried while admitting his crime, but the judge said he only confessed after extensive evidence was produced against him. In the tragic case of Cecilia Haddad, we are reminded of the profound complexities of human nature. This case underscores the importance of trusting not only in others, but also in our own instincts and judgments. It is a stark reminder that while human nature can be capable of love and kindness, it can also harbor darkness and violence. As we conclude this chapter, let us remember Cecilia not for the tragedy that befell her, but for the life she lived. Her story serves as a sobering reminder to trust our instincts and to never underestimate the importance of personal safety. What are your thoughts on this case? Would Cecilia have had a different fate had she called the police on the earlier incidents of stalking and home intrusion? Share your thoughts in the comments section below, and please show your support by giving this video a like and subscribing for more true crime content.